Hey, it's Sandeep Janda from Hockey Night in Canada, Punjabi. Welcome to another interview this week, and I'm proud to be joined by a local boy to the Lower Mainland, Surrey boy, but now doing big things with the Seattle Kraken, Justin Rye, player development coach with the Seattle Kraken. And first of all, I want to get your thoughts on just how did this job happen? You've done some great things in the Lower Mainland. You have your own hockey academy, your skills academy, but how did the Seattle opportunity come up?
I think a big part of it is just surrounding yourself with good people. We started, obviously we met a while ago, and you kind of saw the start of the company kind of, and pretty much the big thing was just kind of working with the players and trying to find a way to help them. So we did a bunch of video type stuff and on ice stuff, and we were just really trying to work with the players, and you kind of have a dialogue and you work with those guys, and slowly it starts growing and they start telling their friends, and just kind of a word of mouth type thing. And luckily, I got surrounded by some pretty impressive people that really believed in me and the product that we were doing and the players. And really, it was just networking through the hockey business and just trying to help people out in the best way you can. And it just kind of grew from there and kind of built the network. And my boss, Jeff Tambellini, was the one that was somebody that I was talking to quite a bit, and it just kind of went from there.
Yeah, and I want to highlight as well, you work for the Kraken now, but you have a hockey history that goes back to your days playing in Richmond, British Columbia.
Right.
You played in the BCHL, you played at the University of Maine, so Div 1 collegiate athlete as well. We'll get into that a little bit later on, but yeah. Seattle, that's where you're working now, that's the organization you're working with now.
Right.
You're a Surrey boy in the territory of the Vancouver Canucks.
Right.
How does it feel to be on the other side of the I-5 rivalry?
Honestly, it's funny. Yeah, obviously grew up a Canucks fan and things like that, but I mean, once you get here and you get into the professional aspect of it, I think it just changes a little bit, and it's obviously, especially the fact that we're rivals and against each other, like they're playing. It's been a lot easier than you would think, to be honest, right? But obviously, you want to see them do well. A lot of family still cheering for them and all that type of stuff. So they got a great team and things like that. But it's been more it's been like pretty easy.
So you talked about working for the Seattle Kraken and getting hired by Jeff Tambellini and that crew of hockey operations, which is a pretty impressive one in Seattle. So what do you specifically do? You work with prospects and just keep a bit of a program with them and make sure that they're following and keep an eye on their progress?
Yeah, we're part of the player development staff, and pretty much our job is to work with the prospects and try to provide as much assistance as we can for them, right? It's all about the players and making sure that they feel assisted in any which way, shape, and form that they need. And I think you start seeing that quite a bit amongst the league, right? Player development has become a thing that maybe 20 years ago wasn't too much of a concept, and now all these teams are utilizing it amongst the league. So that's just trying to find a way to be an asset to our players.
So you end up playing at the University of Maine, and then your playing career comes to an end, going from playing to being a skills coach and eventually an associate coach in the BCHL to now being a player development coach. Like, right. What made you make the switch of saying, hey, my playing career is done now, that I want to go into this side of the sport?
Yeah, I think every athlete can relate to that, where once you stop playing, you're kind of trying to figure out, hey, I've done this thing my whole life, and now we're trying to figure out what else we're trying to do. And I knew that I wanted to stay within the sport, but at the same time, you don't really know what. And I think a lot of, when you get out of it, you try to get back into the skills perspective, and you just start teaching things that you knew or whatever you got taught. And so I started doing that for about a year, and then I was going to UBC, and I was learning kinesiology there, so it was fascinating to kind of have the hockey background and have that and realize that, hey, like some of the hockey background things we've learned wasn't necessarily like what we were learning in school in terms of mechanics or whatever. And it just got me curious. And so after the hockey career, I just started kind of researching the game a little bit on my own, and that's kind of the transition, and started working with a couple players and just hearing what their thoughts were. And I mean, that was the biggest part, was when the players start believing, you start working more for them, and that's the beauty of the job, is you got to get to work with them, right? So,
well, to take you a little bit behind the curtain as well, a couple of years ago, I want to say probably 6 or 7 years ago, we met up for a coffee.
Right.
You were trying to figure out what you wanted to do after your playing days, and you had started Kaivo hockey at that time. Yeah. You were kind of getting it started. So that journey, like as somebody who's known you for a few years, I saw it kind of play out behind the scenes. It's awesome to see where it's developed to. You're working for a National Hockey League club now, but I hear this from a lot of players whenever they play, whether it's NCAA, whether it's NHL, they have a 10-year career or whatever it may be, just finding out what you want to do next. It must be difficult because you're programmed to be doing something, playing a game for so many years, and then a bit of a search for identity, I would imagine.
For sure, yeah. I think like I said, like most NHL or college or junior or minor hockey kids, it's such a part of your identity no matter what level you play, and you make decisions growing up based off that, right? So I think for me, it was more of a journey. It wasn't trying to figure out what you wanted right after. It was more so, hey, this is something I have passion in, and just kind of see where it goes. And at the end of the day, you kind of need direction, and you need to be surrounded by good people, and luckily I really was. That kind of helped me direct me into, why don't you try to look at this, or why don't you look at this, and just kind of guide me, which was really, really helpful.
Who was that for you? Like, were there peers in the sport? Was it family? Like, was there somebody that you can highlight?
Parents, for sure. Mom and dad, really supportive, right? Like when I remember telling my mom, like, hey, I'm going to go play junior hockey, and we're not going to go to university right after high school. And she was incredible about that. She said, okay, if you have a passion for that. And I said, I will go to school and I will get a degree. It just might take a few extra years, right? So once I stopped playing hockey, it was going to school, and they were tremendous and just guiding me about passion and just trying to figure out what you like to do. And then I think outside of that, it was the players that you work with. The players are really the guiding force. Like I can't explain how important it is to me to be able to kind of be with that player and get to try to help them. And you got to listen to them, and they're the ones that guide you of what they really need, right? So I think it was just having a dialogue with the players.
Well, also having talked to a few players that are, whether they've done hockey camps with you, whether they've had off-season skates with you. You're providing that to them now as well at the community level. And, we talked to Roman Bassadan a couple of weeks ago. He mentions that he was at one of the off-season skates and what that means to him. Right. Going from, in a lot of ways, mentee to mentor, was that something that was important to you? And is that something that you really focus on as you grow in hockey?
I mean, I think the idea of trying to help out the community is something massive, but I believe it's just both ways. Like I wouldn't even say mentor. I think it's just a dialogue with them. It's pretty incredible. To see, obviously you got Jajar and you got Arsh and Roman and so many others, amazing players and doing big things in the game, and most importantly, just great people, right? And that's what's pretty cool about this is that this sport is almost a vehicle for us to all kind of connect and be close together. And somehow, we never really crossed paths really before, but this game brings us all together. So that's kind of the beauty of it. So I think it's both. I think the community gives to, those NHL players like Jajar, Arsh, and Roman, and I think, we try to give back as much as we can as well. Well,
you mentioned Jajad and Arsh. Arsh is doing great things in the AHL. Jajad has been really over 300 plus games now in the NHL, which is unbelievable. Yeah. What do those guys mean to the community? Because you work in the community, you're based in Surrey, but just overall, covering the game, we see it on a day-to-day, but when you're doing those off-season skates and those guys show up, or if you see them in the community and the way they react and kind of talk to the community members, what do you know about those guys and what do you see from them?
I mean, I think they're two of the best, people that could help out and not represent the community, but be part of the face and be in the community and help out, and just getting to know them a little bit. Both amazing people, great players first off too. They're obviously Arsh is doing amazing things in the A right now, which is really, really cool to see. And like you said, what Jajar's done and have the career that he's had, and has been pretty incredible. But I do see them really take pride in taking time and whether it's talking to kids from all nationalities, they're professionals and they're really, really good at what they do, but they also understand the responsibility that they have, which not everybody is born with or realizes, and both of them are incredible at that.
And you're doing a great job as well with the Seattle Kraken, so best of luck to you. Before we let you go, though, I'm a little bit older than you are. You're 29, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Coaching younger kids now, so when you started your career, going back, comparing that to the way kids come in ready for the game now, what's the difference? I hear that they're more prepared than ever. Yeah. What do you see?
I mean, yeah, for sure. The skill level is incredible, right? It's just the game is evolving, training is evolving, resources are evolving, everybody's evolving at all times, and you're seeing the result of that. And I think the big thing was interesting with COVID too, with no games, and it was just skill development. And you see the pros and cons of both, but these kids now, I think the parents are doing such a good job of providing for them. Not that they didn't before, but now there's even more resources, and you're seeing them just hop into the Western Hockey League or junior or just major midget or the NHL, and the skill is there. It's just about rounding their game out in every other way. But the skill set is in a good place, and I think the game is in a good place. You see all these young stars in the NHL coming in and just making an impact right away. So it's exciting where it's going for sure.
Yeah, we're seeing that in the Punjabi community as well. A lot of WHL products and BCHL products. So keep an eye out for the Seattle Kraken prospects as well, because Justin Rye is working with them. And Justin, keep up the great work. It's a new frontier for our community to be at that level of hockey in the player development side. So keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for joining us today. And here at Hockey Night Punjabi, we'll be watching what you do.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
All right, and that's another interview here at Hockey Night Canada Punjabi. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. We'll see you next time.